All right. Okay, the channel is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. Tonight, we're going to play Nexus Books by Sharang Biswas.
Ooh.
Books.
Ooh.
Books. So many
Books.
books. My name is Christiana Ellis, and ordinarily, when we're playing Dungeons and Dragons, I am the dungeon master. But tonight, we are playing Nexus Books instead, and so my fellow players are Paul Weimer,
Hello.
Dove Archambault,
Books.
and Nobilis.
Hi there.
I need to recrop your thumbnail a little bit there, Nobilis. Let me take care of that real quick. But so we are down a couple of our regular D&D players tonight. So we are going to be playing this game instead, and I think it should be fun. It is basically kind of just an improv game where we are going to be playing employees and customers within a multi-dimensional bookstore. So this game begins, has some text here as it is a truth universally acknowledged that a single deity in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a hobby. Death, currently going by he, him pronouns, the name Mick, and appearing as a skeleton wearing elaborate feathered outfits, golden jade jewelry, and what looks suspiciously like the flayed skin of a man, has opened a new bookstore. Nexus Books is located at a conjunction of realities existing across multiple timelines, dimensions, and planes of existence. It caters to an extremely broad clientele, all of whom have one thing in common. They're all in need of something. Whether they're a wealthy dimension-hopping robot searching for something particular in Mick's shop, or an angsty teen who stumbled into the store through a magical wardrobe, every customer has a problem they're grappling with back home, and Mick will deliver. You play as Mick's employees, tasked with solving your customers' issues by recommending books. Which of you will be able to help the most customers, earn the most skulls, and be named Employee of the Month?
Earn the most skulls.
Yeah. So the idea here, so Nobilis, you're kind of leaning back and forth across your window, which is
I,
okay. It just means my crop keeps messing up.
I will endeavor to stay centered, but
Okay.
but I mean, I've got like windows open
That's
and
fine. That's fine. I will make it less picky. All right. So, according to the game, phase one is that we are to pick characters. Now, bearing in mind the nature of this game is not like D&D where we're going to have a class and stats and stuff like that. So, our character is really just um, it's just kind of who you are going to be playing when you are playing your bookstore employee character. It has a few example characters, so we can choose one of those or just make up your own. Any of those is fine. So, but just as examples, the example characters it lists: Todd, he, him, stereotype, the know-it-all employee. Todd is a 19-year-old student of esoteric philosophy who believes that working at the bookstore will help deepen his understanding of his academic pursuits. He loves to show off his knowledge of literature to customers. Or Avantika, she, her, stereotype, the slacker with a good heart. Avantika is a 30-year-old who just needs to be able to pay for her tiny studio in the Vendalinus crater on the moon. While she likes to chat with customers and other assistants and can get deeply invested in their issues, she sometimes neglects her other duties. There's also Sargranthaqua, Herald of Mayhem, they, them. Stereotype, the one besotted with another assistant. Choose who as a group. 3,457-year-old Zargranthaqua, or Shakwa, is the youngest of the elder god Shunkathalwakta's
Waktas.
13 spawn, born from his corpse during a rare planetary alignment. Though they were technically destined to become one of his heralds of doom, they believe their 12 older siblings have the heralding well in hand. They're kind of a romantic at heart. Or there's Lux, they, them. Stereotype, the ignorant newbie. Lux is a 45-year-old divorcee who just needs a new job to distract from their old life. They're earnest and really want to prove they can be a fast learner and a good worker. Unfortunately, they keep bungling things. Then there's also Elvis, he, him, stereotype, the confused but kindly elder. Elvis is an elderly man with a mysterious past. He doesn't like to talk about where he's from or how old he is. He frequently bursts into song and dance, however, with distinctive, well-practiced routines and a rich baritone. He's a little forgetful and confused at times, but means well. And so those example characters certainly can be chosen from, but I think the purpose is also just to illustrate that your character can be anything. It does.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like a normal person in any stretch, or you could be a normal person if you want. But we need, you have some reason that you work at this multi-dimensional bookstore, and what your general vibe is. So, need everyone to come up with what your character is.
So I'm kind of vibing off of an existing one a little bit.
Okay.
His name's Fred. He's tall, lanky, dresses in dark clothes, but not like goth dark clothes, just like a dark black dress shirt and
Can we have people stop typing just for a
Oh,
second?
sorry. Sorry.
That's fine. It's just if I make a row for each of us, we can each type without interfering
Yeah.
with what the other is typing. That's all.
Oh,
right.
okay.
And he's helpful and
All right.
supportive, but he seems kind of wistful sometimes, and like just like goes off somewhere. But once he's like brought back to what's going on, he's focused. But if he doesn't have something, he kind of drifts off. And yeah, he's really best off when he's working with someone else.
Okay. Let's see. I think my
Oh, and also doesn't talk a lot about his past.
okay. So we've got the Google Doc just so we can kind of have reminders for everyone so that we can, draw upon those when we might be interacting with each other in scenes. So let's see. I think I'm going to just, for the moment, I'm just going to be Lux. Pretty much as written there. Lux, they, them, I took this job because everything else reminded me of them, and I just need something to distract me right now. I'm doing great. I just need to focus on new things and a new life. All right. So I'm literally just gonna. I feel like I can work within that already defined. Will Adobe let me actually copy text? Let's see. Let's find out. All right, look at that. Okay. So, does anybody need any assistance coming up with their character? It looks like we've got folks already working the stuff in there. Nobilis obviously described his already. So mine is going to be basically Lux as written in the original game. Are you done typing yours, Dove, or no? I guess you're both still typing. That's fine. Please go ahead. No rush. But
I'm ready.
okay. You want to
Okay.
describe
Yep.
yours for everybody?
Okay, so Cadmus, he, him, stereotyping, questing immortal. Cadmus, once upon a time, was a fantasy hero. Went and founded a city, started a civilization, got married. His wife died. He continues to live and live and live. He's not quite sure how long he's been alive. He stumbled into into the bookshop looking for a book and wound up with a job. But he's sure his book is there to be found in the store somewhere, and that distracts him from being a good employee. So he wanders this bookstore looking for the book because he's convinced that's why he really was there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But so he can be kind of like not as attentive to the customers as he should be.
Mm-hmm. All right. So looks like Nobilis, you already kind of described a look, which I hadn't described in mine since it wasn't in the book. But I've decided that they dress from a thrift store, so they have kind of an eclectic vintage collection. They have an kind of unfortunately short haircut, and their skin is green.
An unfortunately short haircut, like someone who would really be better off with a long haircut, but
Someone who was desperate to have something different, and it ended up really short, and it's like, well, it's different.
okay, so it's cut on her by herself. Yes.
Well, or you
Yeah.
know, it might it might have
Yeah.
been at the request, but it was just a perhaps
Yeah.
not carefully thought through.
Right. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. All right, and green skin.
Okay,
In comes
I
the mini
got
colors.
mine.
Okay, please go ahead and describe them.
I'm playing Quidel. She, her, stereotype. Spacey but good at her job. Quidel is an oddly humanoid individual that dresses in painfully clashing colors that seem to obscure her skin color, but has an air of oddity. Her age is somewhat indeterminate, with her knowledge seeming broader than whatever her age would suggest.
Does she look young? I mean, you say indeterminate, but then how does the knowledge, you know what I mean? It's like you're saying you're comparing it to something
It's like
indeterminate.
it depends on the lighting. Like,
Oh,
in some
okay.
lighting she looks like a young teenager.
Okay.
Others she might look like 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever age you think she is, she will pull out a piece of knowledge that just is way beyond it.
All right. So our next step here is to create books. And the way that we're going to do this, first of all, before anyone starts typing them, I'm going to make another little spot for each of us to have just place to type them. So let's just make, you know what? Let's just make a numbered list here. Let's see. For 4 of us doing 3 each, we need 12. So I have made this list that's just got the number and then a single letter. And the idea is just that, like, I'll do 1 through 3, someone else pick 4, 5, 6, and so on, just so we have places to type them. So the way this works is there is a set of tables of book titles in Appendix B here. There's 4, tables of 10 that have a whole bunch of titles. And what we do is you pick one of those titles and then take a few minutes to write the first 3 sentences of that book on the back of a note card. Well, we're not using a note card, but you get it. Mm-hmm. And so this should be part of the substance of the book itself and not a forward dedication or anything supplementary. And we're not using a book plate for that book because that's something you only do on subsequent plays of the game if you've played before. So And then we're each going to do that 3 times to make 3 books. And then actually, we should have 4. So I'll make another 4. But the way we each do our 4th one is that we pick a title, and then someone else picks the next person down the rotation writes the
Writes it up.
sentences. All right, so
Okay.
let me just go ahead and make it 16.
Only 40 of them. That's not going to last very long.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
we're only making 16.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I think it's just a matter of like,
I think if we should have a policy of what we do if we like roll like one that was already been
you
done.
don't have to roll. You can choose, or you could make up your own. You don't necessarily have to use one of the ones there. But I think those are some good tables. So I'm going to just use from the tables. But I think what we do is we each pick one for our first book, and then we write those up, and then we'll each pick one for the next. So we're not just free for all choosing titles. We're going to do it round robin style.
All right. And I would suggest that when we do the sentences, we use tab to indent it so that it doesn't throw off the numbering.
I agree. I think that's
a good point.
That makes
absolutely. Okay. So on.
I claim 5 to 8.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So
9 to 12.
on our stream screen, the order from top to bottom of the thumbnails is Paul, Nobilis, Dove, and then me. So do we want to use that order to pick the first title?
Sure.
All right. So what title would you like to do first, Paul?
Okay. Let me roll. I'm gonna use a generator. So that's book 2, and I'll use D10. So I come up with, I'm glad I'm not straight.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
Like it gets tight, but we'll go with it.
Sure. So it looks like you'll be books 1 through 4. So Dove,
Yeah.
what title? Oh, well, I guess so. Nobilis next. What title?
Yeah. I rolled and I got Ain't No Mountain Old Enough.
Okay. Are you rolling like a D4 and a D10?
Yeah, a D4 and a D10. That's what I did.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. So we'll just re-roll if we get any duplicates. You don't have to roll. Anyone who would rather just pick one, that's okay too. But Dove, what about you?
Okay, so I decided to pick and love and other silly little notions.
Okay. All right, and then so I guess you do 9 through 12, and I just rolled table 3 so. Art brought us together is my first one.
And just so I can be clear, the sentences is just the first.
Yes, so
first
I will
sentences
reread specifically. Yes, it is the first 1 to 3 sentences of that book. It should be part of the substance of the book itself and not a foreword, a dedication, or anything supplementary.
Right. But it's most likely some form of introduction.
Yeah. I mean, it should be like the beginning of that book. And these books can be fiction, it can be nonfiction, it could be anything that would be in this bookstore. All right. So, this phase of the whole process is going to have a little bit of dead air, so to speak.
Yeah.
But we'll, maybe I can edit that out when it comes to the audio. But we'll see. But so again, don't. The idea for this is to not take more than 2 to 3 minutes to do it. Don't belabor it. It's just whatever you get out.
That's a good start. Oh, Paul, you're doing a different thing with your title and description.
What did I do
You
wrong?
Well,
you don't need to create two indents. You can just
Oh,
put the
Oh
first
yeah,
one in.
I indented to the so it wasn't on the same slide.
Oh yeah, I was kind of doing it the same way that Paul was,
Oh
but it's fine. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
yeah, I thought it'd be clearer, but yeah, it's probably not strictly necessary.
oh man, I know the one I next one I'll choose if um if nobody else chooses it.
All right. So if once everybody so per this the nature of the game is such that it does not necessarily suggest that we are all reading these to each other necessarily. We could, but the way that the game is going to work, so let's not read them for now. Let's go through
Okay.
and make our
Just-
other books.
Okay.
And so we will, then have our stack of 16 books. So the next step then, is everybody done with their first book?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Paul, would you like to begin
Yep.
round 2?
Let's see. 1 and a 9. Mohammed.
Uh-huh.
That would be interesting.
Okay.
Okay. Willis?
Just re-rolling because I got a duplicate. I
Sure.
got 3 hearts, 3 minds.
Okay.
I think that's a ripoff of Three Hearts and Three Lions.
I mean,
That's the way I would go with it, but that's my Paul Anderson brain running. That's for sure what to do with Mohammed.
Sure.
I gotta think about this for a second.
Okay. So,
All right. So Mina.
yep.
Lesbian space knights versus Zumbar the Terrible.
Nice. All right. And I'm going to roll as well. So that's, let's see, 8. No, that's a duplicate. So let's re-roll. Storm Surge.
You know, anyway, a number of ways with that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not supposed to come up with authors for these, are we?
I mean, you can if you want, but
Okay.
that's not not necessarily part of what this is. Part of what
Okay.
we're going to be doing later is, as customers or as the employees, we're going to be potentially pitching these books to
Yeah.
customers, and so you might improv an author if you want. You could come up with one if
Right.
you want, but it is not required.
I think I'm going to let others who others, if someone else pitches one of One of mine. Let them come up with the author. Ooh.
Tell my kid to close his door because I can hear him from the next room. So. And I'm not even thinking of how broadly one of these titles might be applicable to other people. It's like,
I'm not thinking that either. I'm just like
no, just
creating books.
create.
All right, I'm done with mine.
Yep, same.
It's fun writing mine, but also just imagining like without looking at what everyone else is doing yet to just like
Yeah.
This is kind of a fun process already. Is everyone else done with theirs?
Got mine.
Okay. So the time for round 3 then.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Okay, I have mine. It's the unseen heir.
Okay.
Let's see. I rolled up the last coastal king.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna roll for
Gotcha.
this one.
Yeah, sure.
Nope, that's a repeat.
Okay.
The twofold trial of Katajan Gents.
Okay. And I rolled as well, and I got Ain't No Mountain Old Enough.
Wait, we
That
have that
was
one
the,
already.
I already had,
Oh,
we already had
oh,
that.
Repeat.
okay.
Yeah.
My apologies.
That's the
I
first
didn't.
one I rolled too.
Okay. Cryptomania, a fairy tale.
Just makes me think of cryptocurrency for some reason.
Could be. All right. We are hearing some background sound still, but I'm not sure where that is. But it's okay. I think it's only because we're like not we're all being quiet
Yeah,
that
it
it
was
kind
really
of ends
quiet.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Okay, got mine.
I'm done.
Okay. Yep. Got mine.
okay. Mine went a little. All of mine so far have gone a little bit maybe overboard beyond what's strictly necessary, but that's fine. Okay, for the last round, what we are each doing is picking a title for the next person in the sequence to
Okay.
write from. So Nobilis, or Paul, you would pick for Nobilis, Nobilis for Dove, Dove for me, and I will pick for Paul.
Okay. Okay, Nobilis, you are going to write minuscule fragments.
Okay. Who am I? Picking for?
For Dove.
For Dove.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Uh, the glacial fjords of the northern coast.
Okay. And the one I am doing, I assigning you,
Yep.
Christiana, is
Mm-hmm.
a complete and concise accounting of my voyages in the Outer Lands with accompanied illustrations by my own hand.
Aha.
How
Okay.
Victorian.
Very nice. Okay. I think then.
Okay.
I'm just.
Oh boy.
There's. Um. No. I'm just. There's lots of good ones here. I think. Um. Brief deaths for
Brief
Paul.
deaths.
Brief
Okay.
deaths.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. Got mine.
I have mine.
Okay. So, I think we are. We've got those of you who are still working. I'm going to go ahead and just start describing the next phase here while you finish up. By the end of this phase, each player should have a stack of 4 books, and it suggests that if we were using this on index cards that we would shuffle them together. But I think instead of shuffling and drawing randomly, we can simply
Roll some dice.
indeed. But the next phase 3, would be to introduce a customer. One player takes on the role of a customer with a problem back home, hoping to find a book to solve their issue. And so we will take turns being a customer. And so one round is each of us playing a customer once. And so when it is your turn to play the customer, you should use the customer characteristics table to generate a look and a descriptor. This is public knowledge. But you should also use the customer need table to generate a need. This is secret knowledge. You should feel free to make your own need because we all have access to that table. So if you want to come up with something that's not on that table, that is totally okay. You should then describe the customer entering the store and have them introduce their need in vague terms. Remember, the customer is probably somewhat embarrassed by their situation and is unlikely to blurt out exactly what they need. Rather, they may give a few clues and allude to their situation. And then should feel free to role play a short scene with the employees, but they get to determine when the scene ends by saying, "I'd like to see the books you recommend, please."
Hi.
And then everyone else will play your employee character and try to recommend books to the character, trying to get their recommendations chosen for purchase. Simultaneously, each employee should randomly draw 2 books from the book pile, read both sides of each book, and pick one to recommend and put the other in the bottom of the pile. In turns, each employee reads out the title and first lines of the chosen book, describe or summarize the book they're recommending to the customer. They may choose to role play this and infuse their recommendation with the employee's personality, and then tell the customer why they think this book would be perfect for them. And then once we've each done that, the customer selects their favorite book for purchase. And they will reveal their need fully and narrate how the book helped them with it. And then who is the employee whose book was chosen is awarded a skull by Mick himself. It's real. You can ask him who it belonged to if you like. And then we basically do rounds where everyone takes a turn playing as a customer. And then in theory, and so then at the end, whoever has the most skulls gets to be employee of the month. So I think what we should do when we are doing the recommend books piece is that I think we should, what we should do is so we'll take turns. It says simultaneously, but I think, or maybe it makes sense to, we can all go at once. You can probably use a D20 and then just re-roll for, 17 through 20. And you do that twice, and then you pick one of those. And then if you have picked one, call out that one's picked, and everyone else can eliminate that from consideration. And that'll just be like first come, first serve.
Okay, so the way it works is the person who's playing customer introduces their customer.
Mm-hmm.
We role play a little bit, and then you roll, and then we roll to see what
Yeah,
books
then the other 3
we've got
people,
near to hand.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, go for books.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay.
So, we can keep just going with the sequence we were just doing, or we could do.
I think that's logical. And
Okay, sure.
Okay.
So in that sense, then Paul, you would be the first to play
a customer.
a customer. So this
I gotta
is
come up with a look and a descriptor and come up with a need.
yeah. And so you tell us the look and the descriptor, and then you'll describe them coming in, and then you role play how they handle the need. So this would be a shift where Fred, Lux, and Quidel are working, but Cadmus is on a break or something.
But Cadmus is being the flake again. So
Called
surprised.
I
in.
mean, we have lives outside the store. Or had. I mean.
All right.
Okay, so I got to come up with a need real quick.
And so, like as it says, you can choose one from the customer needs table or make up your own. But the idea is that you don't tell us which one you're picking until the end after you've chosen a book.
Right. So I'm going to quickly come up with one.
And part of the game of this, of course, is that it should be a problem where like there's a reason why you wouldn't just come out and say it, right? So it has to be like emotionally fraught or embarrassing maybe, or you're not sure exactly what it is, like what would help. So that's the game of it, is that everyone else is kind of trying to guess what it is, but it has to be something you wouldn't just say straight out. All right.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay, so into the bookstore comes short man, maybe 5'1" tall, dark hair, and he is crying. He's sobbing.
My goodness. So
Okay.
Lux sees this, and there's a brief panicked fight or flight type of expression, but then they set their jaw, and come up and just say, "Good morning, sir. Can I help you with something? Are you okay?"
I'll be okay. I just need a book. I just need something.
Well, you come to the right place. This is,
Oh,
in
I have
fact, a
a
bookstore.
customer? Oh, hello.
I
What do you need?
don't know.
You need a book,
Well,
though.
I need I
What?
I thought this was the spice store.
Oh,
spice. Well, I mean, some of the books are kind of spicy.
Oh, yes,
So,
that is very
Laugh, cry.
so.
mm-hmm.
so, yeah, so, uh, food, is it? Was you looking for something in that regard? Because we got a whole cookbook section.
Maybe
Well,
it's a very strange store.
Are
I don't
oh,
remember the store being here.
maybe
that
something about international uh, choices, like new things that you've never experienced before, something that would reignite zest for life.
Maybe. What do you got?
So,
well,
are you trying
that
to?
that that seems like a lead into.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
like to see the books you recommend, please. Is
I
the
like
code that
to
as
see
here?
the books
But
you
yeah, but
recommend,
all right.
please. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry, too deep into
No,
the
no,
game.
no. That's right. That's fine.
And so we rolled to see what book we grab.
So basically, roll twice and pick one of them, and you don't have to say what both of the rolls are. But if you once you have chosen one, say which one, so that no one else will pick that one.
Okay, 9.
Okay.
Yeah, I got 11. The twofold trial of Kayetan Yench.
All right. I'm taking 8 minuscule fragments.
Wow.
Okay, and so I guess it's just 3, right? So yeah.
Yep.
So in turns, and we'll start with Nobilis, Dove, and then me, or rather Fred,
So,
Quidel,
yeah.
and Lux. Read out the title and first lines of the chosen book. Describe or summarize the book you're recommending. You may choose to role play it and infuse your recommendation with the employee's personality, and then tell the customer why they think this book would be perfect for them.
All right, so what I've got here is The Twofold Trial of Cayetan Yanch. When you wake up in the morning, you never expect your life to hang in the balance. But then again, none of you are me. I'm Cayetan Yanch, and today I will battle the metaphorical demons of my mind and the legal demons of my society. This is a story of a man going from the worst possible day of his life to dominating his entire society and transforming the world for the better. And if there's anything more inspirational than that, I cannot think of it. So here is what I think that might be the solution to whatever is ailing.
What else you got? He looks the other two.
Yeah.
I have love and other silly little notions. What is a person? Some say that it's the actions they do, some say that it's the connections they make. Me, I say that it's all bungus. And this is an exploration of what it means to be a person and who and how people are to how people are connected to each other and honestly it is a very deep subject, despite the author being very silly.
Well, I would like to recommend to you this book called Minuscule Fragments. And you broke my heart, you lying, cheating, self-aggrandizing, greedy, avaricious, wrathful, boasting, goldfish swallowing spawn of a titan. You broke it into pieces, and then you went and found the fragments and meticulously shattered them in every timeline of every reality. And the worst part was, you didn't even realize you were doing it. But now that I have imprisoned every version of you in my quasi-temporal mega dungeon, I will get my revenge. If you're feeling as though you have too bland a life and you need the spice of adventure or of revenge for someone who's broken your heart, this is a story for you.
Definitely laughing out of character.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Ah,
All right. So, which of the three books?
These all seem so good. I they all have strength and speak to me. I think I want to hear the story of someone who goes from the dark place to the great place and dominates the society. I want your book.
Is that my minuscule
No,
fragment?
but point. I'm pointing at the twofold trial of
Oh, okay.
Hydrogen and
ah,
Jensen.
okay.
All right.
And what was your need?
I'm unable to stop crying because I've lost all joy in life. I'm looking for something to immerse myself in to bring myself to something new and something unexpected. And the whole story of an idea that brings it that you can switch negative into dominating society is something he had not considered before, turning his weakness into a strength. So all the three books sounded good. It's like, oh God, which one did I pick? It's
Sure.
like Love is Terrible or
I got an
Or
idea.
go-
How about if we move the ones that have been drawn
Okay.
out of the
Yeah.
table so that it renumbers
Sure.
for the next rolls?
Okay. Yeah. You wanna do that in the Google Doc?
I can do it.
Yep.
All right.
So, minuscule fragments almost I was almost like no, I picked nobility and a hair.
Mm-hmm.
Two of yours.
Okay,
Other two
now
yours.
the question in my mind is who gets the points? The person who created the book or the person who recommended it?
The employee. The employee whose
Because
book
you
is chosen.
sold the book.
Yeah.
the employee who
Like within the fiction of the game, none of us wrote these books, right?
Okay,
It's
okay.
the employee.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
The one
and
who
you-
makes the sale.
Yeah.
Right. Because
Right.
the three of you not only just read that the
Mhm.
sentences, you also sold why the book was important. So that's as
Right.
important as the opening of the book itself. So
Mhm.
you get the skull, man.
Okay.
All right. Well, we lost the numbers now.
Ah, how did that happen?
Google Docs.
You
No.
probably select all of them and then.
We're-
Oh, it's the letters.
Yeah.
The-
Oh, the letter
Yeah.
A. He's everywhere.
There they are.
Oh no.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna go through and wow, okay.
Yeah. So we've just got with 4 and 5. It's just doubled. There we go. So that should be correct. You know, we had 16. We're down to 13 now.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's a bit easier.
All right. So it would be your turn, Nobilis, to beat customer.
Alrighty. Let's see. So for the look and the descriptor, I've got an uncertain woman. And she comes in just a pair of blue jeans and a t-shirt that looks like it once had a band logo on it, but it's been washed so many times you really can't tell. And a bag and a one of those bags that could be a backpack or could be a purse or whatever, just kind of thrown over her shoulder. And she's she walks in, looks around, kind of winces a little, walks out again, walks back in. And then just kind of picks up a book off of the the little table with all the like featured books that the publisher has paid to have them put there, and just kind of tosses it back down. And
I think that's it. As she turns around, Quiddell is right there. Hello. How can I help you?
I don't know. I don't think anybody can help me.
That's not true. Big guy comes out of the book staffs.
We have many different sources of of wonderful knowledge here.
And inspiration and story.
Yes.
Maybe you need a good story.
Stories. Well, maybe. I mean, so people like you're never the same again after something happens, right?
Oh boy, I can relate to that. You know, sometimes you just really feel like you need to change everything in your life all at once. And then actually the changes all kind of accumulate to become overwhelming. But then you feel like you have a new lease on life, but then you're not sure if you can actually make it. But then maybe a book would help.
I thought you switched to decaf.
Well, I mean, it was. I
They
tried this
mixed
one that's
up with
called
you.
Antediluvian Thunder. I don't know whether that's decaf or not.
They mixed up the decaf and the regular.
I get.
They think it's decaf, but it wasn't.
Ah,
Anyway,
oh,
good lady. Perhaps
uh,
we can recommend something for you.
um,
I
I'm
know
not
I
sure
can.
it's
My
that
companions here,
bad,
maybe
but
not.
I would like to see what you can recommend to me.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotta roll a D13.
Ah, I got. Oh wait.
So, apropos of funny shaped dice, I just got a copy of Dungeon Crawl Classics
Mm-hmm.
X Crawl, and
I got
it
12.
Okay.
I got
It-
11.
I'm gonna
it's
do
got all
7.
kinds of funky dice in it.
All right. Cool. Yeah. So I picked 7. It sounds
All right.
like everyone picked. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do we
So what do
want?
we got?
We just want to keep going in the sequence, or do we want to start up with Paul?
Let's do Paul.
All right.
I got the book for you, good lady. This is Storm. Look, it's 600 pages. This will keep you reading for a while. This is Storm Surge. Let me read you the beginning. Helvetica Jenkins slammed her cabin door, threw down her captain's hat, and collapsed onto her bed in tears. What's wrong with me? She sobbed. I'm the youngest galvanist to ever be promoted to captain of a lightning skiff. I've earned the respect and admiration of my peers and guided my crew to one victory after another. Well, what good if it is Lantha loves somebody else? Someone else, sorry.
Oh,
This is a story. This is a story of adventure, triumph, and ultimately the human heart. Because in the center of it, Helvetica wants the woman that does not want her, and the quest to make those hearts connect over this story through battles against storm giants and lightning fields and Melinda the Merciless. All these trials that she goes through, all to win the heart of the woman she loves and to have her see her as a person. This is the story that will change your life. I have read this book 3 times.
oh my. Well, what else have you got?
Christiana?
Oh well, it would be you
Oh,
next.
okay.
You're
Yeah.
next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have Cryptomania, a fairy tale. This is a very fascinating book. Once upon a time, there was a land where everyone was happy and prosperous, but there was only one problem. They were bored. And then one day, a fox spirit made their way to the kingdom with a new idea. If you give me your money, he said, I will invest it in unique tombs that will contain the remains of real people who will now be yours. They will have to stay in the tomb, and you can't do anything with them, but they will increase in value. This is a this is a wonderful take on the trickster spirits mythology and how not understanding the details of a deal can have unexpected ramifications.
Well, yeah, okay. That I can understand that. How about this one?
When you need to understand people and how they have always been, you need to understand history. And that's why I'm recommending The Last Coastal King. The great northern ocean had been drying out for centuries when Lubmus of Trug consolidated his power around the shrinking shoreline, establishing the Trug dynasty. His rise, fall, and historic legacy provides a shining example of what to do and what not to do when a young Martian finds himself in the unenviable position of being named king. And if you have felt in your life like you've been in a position that is unenviable, but you need to know how the great figures of history have handled the changes of climate change and political succession, you need to understand it can all be found in history.
Um,
And sometimes you need to look like really far back in history because the most recent stuff is kind of personal and loaded with, emotional charge and baggage. But, like in the ancient history, it's all going to be like old news and not related to anything happening today.
well, that's that I can understand that that is a really important one, but I think that uh oh God, Paul, what was the one that you
Storm
recommended?
Surge.
Storm Surge. I think Storm Surge is the one that I'm going to buy.
Thank you so much, good lady. Let's get that sale wrapped up for you right now.
Yeah,
All right.
Yes.
because my need was reconnecting with a sibling after a long family feud.
Oh yeah, I can see how that connects.
Nice. So that's one skull so far for Cadmus, one for Fred. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. And it is cleverly designed so that with 4 turns, that means that no, we can't have a tie. All right. Cool. So
Oh.
Dove, it would be your turn next to play a customer.
Okay. Um, I'll go ahead and let
Let's pull the ones
rearrange
that we
Yeah.
the table.
we pulled the Last Great Coastal King.
Mm-hmm. Cryptomania.
And Cryptomania. Okay.
That would if know what it's referencing.
All right.
Okay. So uh as people were deciding, I figured out what I was gonna play. So
Sure.
coming through the door is a hulking uh, and kind of jerking movement of a battle droid that has some odd markings uh, across its outer shell that looks like badly done repairs, and uh, gets to the center, scans, weary, weary, weary.
Weary?
Oh,
Oh, now that's not something to see
Stop,
every
stop.
day.
No,
It,
indeed not.
it is uncertain.
well,
Can we help you?
I require information.
well,
You've
at ease, soldier. We can provide intel necessary for your great victory.
Require function information.
what kind of information?
Combat.
Combat information. Well, geography is important to any military operation. So here I'm bringing you the glacial fjords of the northern coast. Beneath the eternal twilight of the far north, ancient blades of eternal winter draw slowly across the lands. They carve magnificent fjords, which give beauty and danger to this fantastic land. And if you know anything about parrots, you'll know that fjords are quite important. So I think that a good nonfiction book like this, geography, is just the kind of thing you're going to need.
Would assist in combat effectiveness.
You just jumped right into the pitching, so I didn't. I
Yeah,
hadn't picked
it's
mine
like,
yet.
I
That's fine.
mean-
No,
he
it's
went
like
back.
I just hadn't picked one yet. We hadn't done the. I didn't do,
Right.
do the rolls.
I'm gonna go with number
Sorry
7.
if I jumped the gun there.
That's all
It
right.
was just like
No. You rolled right into it. That's great.
Okay. No. What you need, Battle Droid, is inspiration from a fictional battle to inspire your combat to fight well in the real world. So I'm gonna recommend you Lesbian Space Knights versus Zunbar the Terrible. Hark, Knights of the Vast Void, there's villainy afoot. The announcer echoed through the halls, waking up myself and my 2 companions from a tangled position in bed. This is a story for you, good droid, because this shows you the power of 2 individuals against a tyranny and how you can leverage your small place to overthrow the largest of space empires.
It's 3, but yeah.
3. Oh, 3. Sorry, my bad. Oh, you're right. It's right. Okay. How several people fight a space empire, the smallest of units can together fight something much larger than themselves. I get inspiration from this book. I once fought in combat. Granted, not against beings of metal such as yourself. I fought against creatures you would never believe, and yet I find inspiration in this book and in their story.
Understood.
All right. Well, I recommend art brought us together. My first exposure to the iridescent tapestries of Morgula was a moment that changed my life. Until that point, I had thought of myself as someone who appreciated art in all its forms, but nonetheless had my preferences and biases and was naive enough to call that taste. The shifting colors of Jurikathala's ascendant descent rocked me to my core and showed me how much I had still to learn. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, what does art have to do with combat? Well, as one particular Grand Admiral in a vaunted space empire once held that the art of a culture is what tells you how to defeat that culture in any kind of a combat situation. If you understand your enemy's art, you understand your enemy's strategy and their strategic thinking, what they will do or won't do. And that's probably good for fighting.
Acknowledged. Selection complete. We'll take uh, lesbian space knights versus
You're gonna love this book, Battle Droid. This is exactly what you need. Let's get this purchase set up for you.
Okay, that's two skulls for Paul.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
All right.
And the battle droid's need was he was having uh, arms malfunction. Needed something to get the you know plasma juices flowing in his weapons.
All right. Okay.
Why do we have 7 left?
Well, we started with 16 and we're drawing down 3 each time.
Oh, okay, right. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So, 3
Yep,
rounds
that
of
makes
3.
sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Okay.
So who's the last person to make a custom? I think that's you.
So that's me. Yeah. So I was just trying to decide. Okay. I think that what you see, you hear first, sort of a rattling, clanking sound, and as the door pushes open with the little bell on the chime, you see a suit of armor, full battle suit of armor, is what enters and kind of stomps in, glances around, somewhat businesslike, just like this is. You're just looking for I'm here on a mission. I just need the right section. I'm looking for it now, and starts to tromp over. And at a certain point, they bump into another customer, and their visor. No, and the helmet falls off, revealing no head inside, and they bend up and put it back into place and start proceeding towards some of the back sections.
Hello there, automata. How may I help you?
I don't think of myself as an automata. I am rather an animating spirit, but I am looking for something to help me with sort of a technical problem I'm having.
Technical problem? Just jump around. How can we help?
Well, sometimes, when you've existed in a certain mode for a long time and then that's disrupted in a very upsetting way, you're just looking for a way to make things go back to the way they were.
Status quo ante.
Hmm.
I get that.
So, well, sometimes the thing to do is to find a new direction. But preserving. I can understand why somebody like you would be into preserving the past. That's a reasonable thing.
I am.
I don't know why my accent keeps drifting between Maine, Texas, and Louisiana, but that's where we are.
It's generically folksy. I am not necessarily in a position of needing so much as guidance as much as just specific instructions because I know what I need to do. I just need to know how.
Yeah. Hmm.
What sort of books would you recommend?
All right.
All
Now we
right.
can use D8.
Yep.
So
We
we
can
don't
add a
have to
D8.
re-roll as often.
I've
Okay.
rolled 5 2s in a row.
That's too many twos.
Okay, I'm gonna grab number 7.
Okay, then I'll take number 4.
Okay, I had just okay. You know what? I'm gonna lean with it. I'm gonna go with number 2. I could sell my own book, maybe. Let's see. Let's see if I can.
So what I've got here is a complete but a concise account of my voyages in the outer lands with accompanying annotated illustrations by my own hand. I'll flip to the front there. It is with the spirit of purest humility that I set out forth at this time to document these recollections of my travels and adventures, such that this knowledge may be of benefit to all the generations to come. Few have seen what I have seen, but in reading this journal, you may glean some measure of my marvelous experience and perspective. And on the opposite page is a hand-drawn picture of a toad man in a pith helmet holding a bubble pipe. So what you are definitely in the mood for nonfiction. This particular book offers is a kind of a man of all a dilettante dedication to many different topics, from geography to anthropology to musings on the nature of exploration, and a truly talented hand with the visual arts. Um, and what we've got is kind of a melange, if you will, of informative and quite in-depth descriptions of travels in the in the outer lands, which are pretty damn outer, if you ask me.
And the suit of armor just turns to the next employee.
What I have to offer is brief deaths. Some have said that death is only the beginning. If that is true. If death is a permanent phase change in the status of life instead of a temporary state in which a new and sometimes wholly misunderstood second act of life can then occur, these brief deaths are signposts, heralds, and guidance to the next lives that those who underwent them had experienced. And remember, brevity is an entirely Einsteinian relativistic construct. What better way to understand how to do the change in one's life than by understanding the ultimate change, life, death, and what may follow after?
I'm just laughing at you reading my disc.
Oh yeah.
Came up. I'm sorry. I went a little way out there.
Oh, it's great.
Okay. No, what you need is to look at alternate realities. And I have the book for you. This is Mohammed Mohammed. This is how it starts. In the quantum mirror, standing in the sook at the heart of the city of Third Mecca, the man stood looking at other reality versions of himself, versions and visions of lighter skin, darker skin, taller, shorter, and from many different environments. But all of these were him, and as the quantum waveform collapsed into a single alternate version of himself, his eyes were as piercing, as fierce as any he had seen, including in the mirror. Muhammad faced Mohammed. This is a story of collapsing the multiverse into a single alternate version that is you and yet is not you, and facing that. And Muhammad has to face his alternate self and come to a better realization of who and what he is by facing his quantum duplicate across the multiverse. The multiverse is infinite, but this book narrows it down to one single alternate, and his struggle to understand himself and transcend himself by coming to grips with his alternate is the growth and path I think you need.
All three of these books sound interesting, but only one seems to be on the direct subject matter I require, and that is Brief Deaths, sold by you, pointing to Quidel. For I am a haunting spirit within a grand castle that has been recently moved into by living people. I need to know how to get rid of them. This, I hope, will tell me.
Living people can be such a bore.
All right, so that is a skull for Quidel. That means that Cadmus is
Yeah.
is the winner,
Is
the employee of the
unexpected.
month. Or for this month. That means that you get to write a book plate, a special employee recommendation blurb about a book title that was selected by a customer this month. This book plate is adorned with a cute skull drawing, proudly displayed in the store next to the book, and stored for later use when replaying this game.
All right.
In every subsequent game, you may choose to include up to 3 book plates. So yeah, you know, those little things like Steve says this one is a rollicking adventure or whatever.
Shelf talkers, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so you pick one of the ones that got picked.
I would probably pick Lesbian Space Knights because I just had so much fun with that one.
All right.
Okay.
I mean, Storm Surge is also fun, but yeah, the Lesbian Space Knights, yeah. The struggle. It's the struggle.
Well, so it just occurs to me, did we oh yeah, no, okay, you were tracking it. I was just looking at where everyone else was tracking which ones we did. Yeah, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, go ahead and write up your book plate and tell us what that would be.
Okay.
So while you're working on that, the way this game would work, if we wanted to keep playing, of course, we could do another round of each of us playing a customer, and we would either all create a new shelf of books, or we could reshuffle the ones, everything back into the same pile. But the general intention is that you would generate new ones, and so that just becomes this. You every time you play, you keep the books that you were created for the last time, and it just becomes this expanding deck, and that it's a much larger list that you're drawing from every time you make a pull.
I can just imagine.
Do you take out the books that got sold?
I think that would be optional. I would imagine that you don't need to eliminate them as having never be available again.
What I think would be great is to have it be if you do a second round in the same session, create new, like keep the books that weren't bought and create new to replace the ones that were, just to help
Well,
keep
so
things and cycle through.
Yeah, so the what it has in the game specifically, it says once every player has gone, decide if you want to play another round. If so, return to phase 3 to make a new set of books. But the idea is that you would be adding that to.
Okay, so you make like one set of books when you
Yeah.
play again
Yeah.
to add to the library. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah,
just
and I can definitely see this being played better with some kind of card deck.
Well, and
mechanic,
that's
as you
why,
said.
for example, the book plate that is being made for Lesbian Space Knights versus Zunbar the Terrible would stay with that card. So then, if in the future a customer or an employee is drawing that one, they have that to add to their sales pitch.
Right.
Okay, I have the book plate.
Okay.
Lesbian Space Knights versus Zunbar the Terrible. This is an amazing epic of 3 individuals fighting against the tyranny of a space empire. The battle scenes, love story, and the power of a small group against a seemingly infinite foe will keep you turning pages, and it will leave you cheering. Cadmus.
Okay, so that is Nexus Books. What do you
how
guys think?
I like
well,
it.
how did did any of you have any particular thoughts about how you created your books?
I mean, what?
Like,
It's kind of
I
fun.
mean, like, just like like you know did I'm just wondering, like, did you pull from anything
Oh, okay.
specific or whatever?
I mean, I think it was just generally speaking for me, it was just like, what did it make me think of? And just kind of using it like a free writing exercise.
Yeah,
Same, except that I tossed out the first 2 ideas as being too on the nose and too facile, and tried to find a different way to go with it than
Sure.
than what it immediately
Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah, when I with mine, I realized ba- basically all of mine were chosen. But yeah, I kind of just went like yeah, for like 11 other silly little notions. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that sounds like a nice whimsical, very
Mm-hmm.
silly thing. So though possibly serious, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and glacial forests of the northern coast was like artsy and informative, but incredibly floral.
Sure. I mean, I think I was, Storm Surge just made me think of all of those, not necessarily YA, but just sort of very like, you know, we're going to tell very formulaic stories about young people in the new fantasy setting, which I say in a way that maybe sounds slightly dismissive, but is not actually what I mean, because I love those.
Paradise.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that title, I was thinking like this the Brandon Sanderson books and stuff like that. I was wondering, are you going to go that way? You kind of went that way.
Well, yeah, my kind of point is that there are a lot of books like that.
Yeah.
And that's not a complaint.
No,
Yeah.
it's, no.
'cause I like them.
They have a
Yeah.
market and have a use. Yeah.
Well, like, so for example, the Shelved by Genre podcast has just started a unit on the Mercedes Lackey, the last
The Harold Mage?
the last Harold
Yeah, I
Mage
remember
trilogy.
those, yeah.
So I hadn't read any of those, but we're in the middle of the first one, Magic's Pawn, and so that's part of what I just had thinking. And in particular, thinking about that book and its similarities to the Fourth Wing series, which I've also read the first 2 of, which I guess are the only 2 at the moment, now that I think about it. But just realizing that there's a lot of overlap between a lot of those different series. But again, not to a detriment, but because it's like complaining that a story has tropes in it. It's like,
Yeah, it's just like tropes are not evil.
you might as well
Tropes are
complain that
evil.
your house is, that house is no good. It's made of bricks.
Exactly.
But yes, so that's kind of what I was thinking for that one. And then, the incredible title, that the longest one of the A Complete but Concise Accounting of My Voyages in the Outer Lands by the accompanying annotated illustrations by my own hand. The illustrations is really what leapt out at me first, and so the first idea of that was that the opposite page was going to be a silly drawing of the author.
Yeah. And my only thought when I picked it was like, what would be one of the more complicated ones to
Oh,
put
sure.
in?
No, it was a fun one. I actually kind of grinned when you picked that one because that was the one that I was going to select for Paul otherwise.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a fun game.
Yeah.
That's another one where we can hang on to this Google Doc and potentially, if we ever feel like playing
Yeah.
this one again, we can. We
Same
still
or
have
yeah, mix different
some
players
some
as
some books
Yeah.
already mixed in here, and then
hmm
yeah.
And I think that like we were going with um like the book the titles that they've got, but
Mhm.
there's a number of just like book title generators
Oh,
out
sure.
there.
Oh
You can
yeah,
just
Yeah.
grab random
I think
titles.
one of the really neat things about this game that just makes it feel like something that would be fun to play again is that idea that you are gradually building a bigger and bigger library of these books to choose
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could imagine like a group doing this like over like once a month and over a couple years, having just this massive
well,
select.
well, that reminds me of things like like games that kind of lean into that even harder, like Dictionary of Moo, where you're having people write
Mhm.
up entries for this world.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's even more further than this.
And
This is much more
and I
lighter.
like this idea a whole lot better, a whole lot better than the style of board games that was popular for recently, where there was a version of Pandemic that was like this, where if you lose,
Hmm.
you have to actually remove something from the game,
Hmm.
and the replay.
Oh, like the Risk
Hmm.
Legacy,
Yeah,
Pandemic
yeah,
Legacy sort
yeah.
of
Yeah.
games.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
Those sorts of
the
games.
idea of having the ones that get purchased are kind of taken out of the deck.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was
Yeah.
like, this has got to be a used bookstore because
Hmm.
what kind of crazy
Oh, sure.
publishers to go there?
Yeah.
But so yeah, the idea. Well, see, you know, if the books that get purchased are taken out of the
Hmm.
deck, then I would say, okay, write 2 new ones each when you play again, so that the deck still gets bigger.
Mhm.
Um, but you might also like, I don't know about you, but the used bookstores that I go to have got a few shelves that have just got the same books that have been there for years. And there's nothing actually wrong with them, but they just have not sold. And
Hmm.
I'm sure that the poor, you know, stock clerks going by is like, oh, yeah, that one still hasn't sold.
Or
Hmm.
6 copies of the same,
Six copies of
mid-list
the same.
books.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This
Yeah.
probably happens a lot less nowadays because a lot of used bookstores have got,
Much
like
more
online.
churn. Yeah.
Well, they've got like online presences, and they
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
dynamically price things so that if it doesn't sell, they
Right.
Yeah.
So
but
It's
one additional note on this game though is that I came across it as part of the One Shot Network book club, which is the One Shot podcast does a lot of actual plays of where they do every couple of weeks they do a different game. And if you subscribe to them on Patreon, you can be part of the book club where once a month you get some little indie TTRPG, and this is one that I got through that. So that was a fun little discovery, and you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
and I enjoy being a subscriber to that Patreon. But so I think perhaps are do we would anyone want to do another round, or is this is maybe
I
I th-
Improv is hard for
yeah,
yeah.
people who are
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
used to
Doing
it.
this twice in a row might be a little hard.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm
I
feeling that more than my usual like
understood. Like so I
juice is gonna run
I'm
out.
kind of I'm kind of missing the improv classes I was doing for a while, and so I'm kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
always kind of aware that like I'm eager for it, but I don't want to necessarily presume. But I hope you all had
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
I think
And
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was
In
brilliant watching you improv
Aw.
Oh
too.
God. Yeah.
So
Yeah. You do very well. I
I
love it,
think
Christian.
if we were in person,
Mm-hmm.
energy would be so much higher.
Yeah.
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 Well,
It-
especially just I
Yeah.
think dealing with the physical index cards would add a lot too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But thank you. But so yes, I think then we'll probably go ahead and leave it here then for this week, and hopefully we will have a quorum back for our Planescape game next
Yeah.
week
Yeah,
because we
yes,
left
yes,
things off
In a
tricky
anger.
position with most of
Yeah.
the party captured uh, by the Hall of Concordance arrested. But we will see what happens when we return next week for more adventure on so many levels.
So many levels.
Levels.
Someone down in the stacks.
Yeah.
I always